Hi, everyone. I'm assuming that we are, yes, I believe we are live. Just bear with me one moment or two while I remember how to use a phone and double check on Facebook that we are live. Turn my volume down. Are you able to share, or are you on your device that you would share with?
How do I share? Because I've not done one of these before.
If you have your phone there, you can open Facebook on your phone. Make sure your volume's down, because otherwise we'll get all sorts of nasty feedback.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to share it from there. In fact, you don't even have to open it. Even if you just look on my page, I've tagged you as well. It should be on your page if you allow. If you allow things on your page when you're tagged, and you should just be able to share from the outside rather than going in.
Yeah, I don't know how it allows. Share.
I will share it to my pages.
Just share it
there. Oops, didn't want to do that.
I don't know how to just share it on my page. Let me just see if it's on my page. God, technology, eh? No, because it says you've tagged me, but I don't know whether I can. Let me just see. Sorry, guys.
Or if you go on my page, you can share it from there, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. Sorry.
That might be more simple.
Oh, bear with me.
Thank you, everyone that's joining us. And yeah, bear with us while we just sort out,
Do the technical thing.
I think when we go into spaces like this, your left brain just kind of isn't as functional as it normally.
Okay, we're all set, I think. Yeah. I'm turning it off now.
Yeah.
Too much distraction for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I kind of always intend, what I need is something there so I can just kind of just glance over. And anyway, one day. And I would also like a theme tune at the beginning, just putting that out there so that all this rubbish at the beginning where we're sharing doesn't happen. But until that time.
It's keeping it real though, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
It's keeping it real, we're in a new way of doing things now, aren't we? We can all do it from our front room, which is
much less professional, with like kitchen cupboards behind your head.
Exactly.
I'm quite coordinated with I forget when I wear this that I'm like coordinated with the walls and the kitchen cupboard. Well, welcome, Jen. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with me here on Love Speaks Love.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel really honoured to be in your space, Denise.
Oh. The honour is all mine. I'm really honoured that you said yes. And it was interesting for me feeling into a guest this week, because there's a few people in my field that I want to get on, and I wasn't sure who to reach out to. And then I saw your live, and I was just like, oh, because I was feeling the energy, and I didn't know if I wanted it to be kind of soft and gentle, or if I was picking up on your energy already. But when I saw you, I was like, oh, Jen, I wonder if she will. I wonder if she'll say yes. So I wasn't sure if you would, but I'm really delighted that you're here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited, and yeah, a lot of things going on. And it's interesting actually, because the video that you saw, I don't think the sound, I think because I was down by the beach, and it was it that video?
I think it was one it might have been, or one in your house.
Oh, maybe it was the one in the house. Ah, okay.
No, it was the one at the beach.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was quite a spontaneous one, but yeah, all about just showing up, really. Yeah.
Okay, so for those that don't know me, I'm Denise and I am your host, and my beautiful guest today is Jen Dodson. And I will share more in a second. I'm just getting the nudge to bring us into that beautiful collective field of love. So let us all just, and if you wish to put one or both hands on your heart space, then do so if you're in a position to do so. And if you're in a position to close your eyes, I invite you to do that. And let us breathe love into our beautiful hearts. And as we breathe out, breathing out anything of the day so far, or the day ahead, or the week, anything at all that may be preventing us from being in this now moment. And as we breathe love into our beautiful bodies, breathing it into every cell, and that love expands into our electromagnetic field, our aura. And if we wish to, we can push that love out even further to the whole house, to our families, our friends. In fact, why not let us spread love from our hearts to every heart on the planet, and to all people and places that need it. And extending our heart awareness out to the crystalline diamond heart of Gaia, connecting in with the New Earth templates and with the crystalline matrix of energy that emanates out from Gaia's beautiful heart. And extending our heart awareness out to the sun, connecting in with those beautiful solar codes, those solar frequencies of light and energy. And connecting our hearts, extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Source Creator. And recognizing in that we are all one heart. We are in this beautiful, unified field of love. One love, one heart. And just tuning back into your heart again now and keeping your awareness there as we open our eyes. Jen, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here chatting. We should do this more often, on or off air. And it's really, really interesting times at the moment. And we were just sharing before we went live about the discomfort of going live, about the discomfort of what we apparently have set ourselves to do, which is exactly this, and holding space and putting ourselves just up there and being seen, being visible. And especially sometimes in regards to light language as well, you know, there's a lot of stuff even just around that and speaking light language. But it's like we have no choice, and it's okay in that as well. We can feel that nudge, that push behind us. And I'm seeing it with a lot of people. I'm seeing it with a lot of friends on Facebook that are now being called to share their experiences, whatever it is. And it just feels like ripening is the word that I'm getting. It just feels like there's this gorgeous time on the planet now where people are starting to wake up and are calling this in. So a lot of us are being called to do exactly this. And I did a live earlier about the throat chakra, and throat has really been coming in for me this week. I've been doing a lot of work on lungs and breathing, and before that adrenals, and I've wanted to share about those, but I got the nudge yesterday to do a live about throat chakra activation, and I'm definitely feeling, and it's not just because this necklace is slightly tight, there's stuff for me going on right there, which I think is, I'm pretty sure that's where the voice box is. And I think a lot of, I'm feeling that this is not just me, I'm feeling that this is a collective thing, that there is a lot of throat clearing going on, and it's about us stepping up and really being seen for who we are, and going with it, even though we might feel uncomfortable. And things don't have to be completely plush and perfect. We're showing up as we are and for who we are.
Yeah.
And Jen, I know you've been getting a similar nudge, so please share.
Yeah, thank you for creating this space, Denise, because it is tough, isn't it? It is. Well, we are. It's you and me on the screen, but we know there's other energies focusing on us right now, whether it's now, whether it's in the future or in years to come. This video, this live will still be there, and you feel that sense of energy. It's a focus point, isn't it? And we know, if you focus your intention, that's where the energy goes, and we're all energetic beings, so we can feel it. It's visceral. And for me, my heart rises. I still have my heart up here somewhere. I'm breathing it down. I'm breathing it with my stomach belly to come out, to allow more space. Whereas perhaps before I might have constricted myself with having a shorter breath, a narrower breath, perhaps speaking very quickly and not speaking from down here. So probably not making sense, but this is something I'm learning, and I'm peeling back the layers, because there are layers, and I don't think it stops. It gets easier in a sense that we can understand how to navigate these things, because we can have the tools, like the breathing, the lovely meditation, the focusing of bringing us back to our heart, which is huge, anchoring ourselves and staying grounded. But yeah, for me, interestingly, you said we were, what did you say? Calling in. I had to write it down. You said we were calling in. And I've been on a healing journey all my life. I haven't had one big aha moment. They have been incremental dots that I've joined up. So I haven't had a Kundalini awakening or anything like that. I've just had a very lovely, smooth, I'd say, undulating, unfolding into my journey. But it started many years ago into the self-help books and all that sort of thing. But what's brought me here today, or brought me to where I am today, because all that's just story. That's what on some level, I decided to bring all that stuff in so that I can unpack it into where I am now. So I'm focusing on the space that's here now. But just to put a bit of context to where I am, I need to tell a bit of a story. So I suppose it goes back to underneath it, it's not having self-worth, it's not loving myself enough, it's thinking, thanks to the people in my life that brought these in for me to experience, was that I felt that I didn't have anything of value to say, that I was wasting people's time, that kind of thing. So unpacking that and working through it, I'd got to a point where I'm really fed up, and I'm really ready now. I thought I'd done all the work, and I was like, I'm ready, okay. And I did. I put a call out to the universe, and I was just like, right. And it's like, what is it when you invoke something, isn't it? When you verbally say it, it's almost like a magic spell, if you like. So I literally wrote it down, everything that I wanted to do, and I voiced it. I voiced it on Facebook. It's a social platform, it's energy, and I'm putting it out there, that I wanted my soul to be heard and I wanted my heart to be felt. And I had that with such conviction that, poof, everything just started snowballing from there. And there was the accountability was the big part of that, was that I wasn't going to say no. So I'd asked, so if an opportunity came up, I wouldn't say no, and I would do it, which meant doing the Facebook Live, speaking to people on Zoom, and it just comes down to showing up. But going through all the scary bits, the fear, the sweaty palms, the voices in your head that are still telling me the same things. But each time, baby steps, I've come to a place now, and my light language coming through was a huge, huge heart-opening part of this, which happened actually gradually, I'd say. I first had a little bit coming through when I was kind of laying in bed. This was years and years and years ago. And it felt like a growling coming through. And I was like, oh, I'm not having any of that. So pack that back, put that back in the box. And it wasn't then again till much later, when I was doing a breath workshop. And it was together with a cacao ceremony. So it was very heart-opening. There was lots of chanting. It was virtually an all-nighter. It was like an all-nighter with lots of people. And we were doing deep holotropic breath work. And I could feel the vibration in my body had got to a point where I had so much oxygen. I had so much space within every single cell that I couldn't feel where my body ended. I literally kind of, I opened out with so much expanse. And then all of a sudden, this toning came through. It was toning that came through first. And I cried my little heart out because I didn't really understand what it was, but it was, I saw lots of things coming in as well. I had lots of visions, and whether it was a Native American Indian, I had hands, I had people with me. It felt very safe and also very natural. But that was the instigation of it, the activation, if you like. After that, I was like, I have to look into this. And I was obsessed with listening to light language and stuff. And then I was invited onto, are you all right with me rambling? Sorry,
keep going, this is awesome.
I'm just going off on a tangent now. Please stop me if it gets too much. But I remember it was, I was on a Facebook group, and at the time there wasn't an awful lot of information on light language or love language or soul language out there. And I'm a good researcher, and I couldn't find all that much. And so eventually I found a Facebook group, and I was listening to an awful lot, and I was crying a lot. I was clearing is what was happening. I didn't realize at that time. And then through one of these groups, I was invited to a little Zoom meeting. I can't remember how many people there were, but there was quite a few. And I couldn't even put my camera on. So I was just on it looked like I was on the phone, so you couldn't see me, and I couldn't speak. I just typed in the chat box. But I cried for a whole weekend after this. It was just people speaking light language, and I was completely sobbing. Like, it felt like I'd come home. I felt homesick. It was remarkable. And I remember one of the hosts was saying, you will be speaking, you will be speaking. I was like, I so want to be speaking, because it's the most heartfelt sound and healing. Nothing had touched me or brought me home that intensely in a moment, just through sound. And then I suppose from there, it gradually came through. I was walking around speaking to my plants. I realized when I touched my plants, I could speak and it would clear. I'd be coughing. I could feel burning in my throat. I had butterflies in my thymus here. It was palpitations, and I knew then something had to come up. And at first it sounded really weird. It sounded, when you blow in a balloon and you stop the balloon, and when you let out the air, it goes, that's what it sounded like. Until I relaxed, I learned to allow it to come out, and then you could actually hear syllables and you could hear sound. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I would cry. It was more release. And I think one of the most wonderful things was I realized, for me especially, there was a connection with water. And when I was in water, when I was near water, it would activate. So water for me, I would say, has been one of my greatest teachers in this, in that it allows us to flow. It teaches us that we are pure and we can get cloudy. And there's all these lovely, lovely metaphors and things that you can wrap around using water. And yeah, so I then later understood that when I'm toning, it is the elements coming through. It's the elements and the elementals that are actually helping with the healing. And then I realized that I brought it into my healing, my healing with other people, and realized that when I was speaking and when I was toning, it could alter the frequency of the person. So I'm a beacon and an antenna, and you're a beacon and antenna. We emit and we transmit and we receive frequency. So we're just tuning forks, really. But the beautiful thing that I found with speaking light language is essentially it's not a linear language. My understanding is that it's packets of energy that just come down and they are expressed. So they're packets of information, they're packets of energy, and they come in like this, all over the place. So there are aspects of me, there are other aspects of energy that are coming in that are required for the specific intention of the healing that I am facilitating. So they come through, it comes through me as a vessel and then is resonated out. And what I mean by it's not linear in terms of if I write it, because sometimes I write light language, if I'm speaking, in 3D world, it is linear because I start and I finish. But what happens is, because it's energetic, if the higher self of the person that I'm working with chooses only certain parts of that information to actually come through and to be activated to catalyze something within that person, they have received everything, but it might be still in their energetic field. So when I'm working with a client, very often it will be a couple of days and then healing will take place, and then even a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks afterwards, bam, something's clicked in. Because everything, it will come in when the vessel is ready to receive it. Is that your experience?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. There's so much I want to pick up on there. Absolutely. And I feel that they are also choosing, they're also kind of pulling the light language through too.
Yes.
But they will pick up what they want to. It's not like everything necessarily, as you say, goes in at the same time. And I kind of see it like as though it's in a reservoir around them. And it's almost like the pockets of information are there, Some have gone in, they're doing their thing, and the body's not ready for that yet until this has done its thing, so that then can go in. And it's the same I find with the light language codes that I do as well. It's each time they're looked at, they'll receive a different transmission, they'll receive a different activation. And that's of their choosing rather than mine. It almost feels like I'm choosing what goes on the page, but really I'm not. It's my higher self liaising with their higher self, kind of telling me what to put in, really. And it's like we're a transducer. So all this energy is coming in different forms. And as a transducer, which changes energy from one form to another, it's then coming out in the form of sound. And like you, I started with tones, and I would sing as well. I started singing in treatments, and it was tones, and it was light language, but it wasn't necessarily a sentence full, but it may be just syllables, you know, with what sounds like a noun at the beginning. But what you said about water, a lot of this started for me when I was in Australia, but I would find when I was walking down the beach, it's like I had to speak light language. So it was safe for me to do so because the waves are so loud crashing on the beach that no one, unless they're right next to you, no one can hear you. And no one really would have cared there either. But I often used to sit at the back of the beach with one of my singing bowls, my crystal singing bowls, and just let rip, you know, and just let whatever wanted to come through. And having a bath was also the same thing. I couldn't not sing in the bath. Sometimes I can't not sing in the shower. And water's taking on a whole new perspective for me of late. And I haven't shared this yet, but there was something that I watched the other day about this lady in New Zealand. I think she's called Nat, but I might have that wrong. And she does some kind of photography, not the same as Masaru Emoto, but it's similar. And she has a petri dish. She either asks water a question, freezes the water, and gets the answer.
I've got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. Oh, wow.
Or she might put it over something and it mimics a picture. And it's very, very clear. It's beyond... You can't say that's you cannot say that's coincidence when you watch what she's doing. You really can't. And she's about to release a book, and she's actually willing to share the knowledge of how she does it with people so that they can start doing it. She doesn't want to keep it all to herself because that's not what water wants.
No.
But it's showing beyond doubt that, because I knew water was conscious, but the level of consciousness has kind of just gone to a whole new level recently. And I've been cleansing my hands a lot in water. I've been really connecting to water that way. And to my healing journey, it feels so, so, so important. And it feels like I've not fully tapped into it yet. And she'd showed a photo, one of the early ones she showed in this video was of her hand. And her fingers go back a little bit. And the hand that was in the petri dish in the ice, the fingers went straight. They were slightly going back. They were clearly her hands. Yeah. So I've got my hands, I'm doing this cleansing at the moment where I'm getting spring water from down the road. I'm putting it in one of my crystal singing bowls, warming it up because it's a lot more pleasant when it's warm, and putting my hands in. And I was thinking, well, of course, water holds memory. Water holds the memory of healthy hands. And then a few minutes later, and I think it was water that gave me the message, water doesn't just hold the memory of healthy hands. Water holds the memory of my healthy hands. Beautiful. So yeah, there's just so much about water that I think, you know, is consciousness water? Like this was the question that I asked. Is our consciousness the water within our bodies? Yeah. You know, I have this idea that it's energy, but maybe that energy is water. Like it's, yeah.
I get, it's funny, I I asked this question, similar. I asked this question because I light a candle for the water every day, and I go swimming, and I do a ceremony every week with the water and then go and release it. But yes, I asked this question because we are all connected. It's water that connects us all, from our breath, to the snow at the top of the mountains, back to the ocean, to the water we drink, the water inside us, in our brains, in our, the life's blood in our body. Our blood plasma is water too. And very much like Gaia's got all the rivers and the streams, it's like our veins and our arteries. I very liken us to a symbiotic way of being. And I actually did a plant ceremony, well, done a few, but I did a plant ceremony a few years ago. And it was an Ayahuasca ceremony. And I think it was, I had a bottle of water here. Straight connection with the water, and the water came in. I didn't realize at that time water was a she. She's a she. And so I started speaking to the water consciousness, and she was so happy and bubbly to be there. She couldn't express it even, she was so delighted to be with me in the experience. And so I've always had a connection to water, but at that point it got a lot deeper and a lot more ceremonious with how I treat water and everything. And then later on in that same journey, I had two whales appear, a masculine and a feminine, and it's like they were sleeping. So they were, they came like this into my view. And I had a huge release, sobbing, unconditional love, their unconditional love. But going back to the water, and is it, our consciousness, is it energy, I received plasma. So plasma, there is water in our atmosphere. And this is kind of what I see, that everything is, yeah. And through this plasma, we're seeing the rainbow lights, we're seeing magenta lights, and it's the water that allows us to see the prisms. So it's so magical. The whole concept, it's not a concept, it's for me, it's complete reality. I have so much gratitude for water in my life, and the connection that it has. Yeah, and the understanding and what it's taught me. Yeah.
And even in the plants behind you, like it's in the ground that we tread, it's in the air, and it's in the words that we speak. Yes. Because of course it comes out of our mouths as water vapor when we breathe out too. So it is the absolute binding and connective force behind everything. And so many more kind of modern experiments research being done into water and DNA too, that the water seems to be the important factor in DNA changing. And it seems, I can't remember the actual research that's been done, but so much more research is showing, I want to say it's so much more than the value of water, but the depth of water, and absolutely what you said before, it feels very feminine, but at the same time, like the structure, like the crystalline structure, I feel is the masculine aspect of it, which we see in the snowflakes. And so I was feeling into that yesterday, and I was like, it's feminine. And then I thought, but there just seemed to be a masculine component in there. And the flow, the flow feels very feminine. And I wonder if it is something to do with the divine feminine, the rise of the divine feminine energy. And by that, I'm not talking about females, but the divine feminine energy, that at the same time as that, we're actually clicking into water and just how important these words just don't cut it, but how
No,
vital.
I know. I was so struggling with that too. But exactly as you say, the rise of the feminine and us allowing to open and flow and have that space, almost have that womb-like to allow creation, because out of that space, out of the void, we can allow the birthing. The waters can break, and we can birth, and we can share. But at the same time, like the analogy of a river has to have the banks, otherwise it's it gets too spilled out. So the masculine can be the bank, like the banks holding the river. I guess we're coming into a place of balance, because talking about the feminine, I mean, I began my life very in my masculine energy. I was very much doing and very much independent. I was creative, but I was very much do, and now I'm la. I'm very much more surrendering, receiving, allowing myself to receive more, rather than actioning and doing. But of course, we need to come to a balance. So I think I've come to a place now where I'm happy when I'm creating, but there has to be that masculine energy to action. To you have the creative idea, you have the intuition come in, but if you don't step forward, what's going to happen? So you've got to kind of step into it. And that's, I kind of I was masculine, went feminine, and now I'm kind of marrying the two. And I'm still playing with it, obviously. But I'm going through an interesting place at the moment, because I've been kind of joining the dots to finding my voice through light language, and coming back to talking live, and how you would think, for me, speaking light language live is a lot easier than actually coming on just talking about myself in English. It's like, there will be tears. But coming on and doing light language, it's like my ego's gone.
Yeah.
I'm opened up. There's a higher intelligence coming through, and it's coming through from my heart. And as long as I breathe, keep breathing, it comes through. And I've no idea what's coming through. I just know that it's coming from my heart, or I have an intention, and then I let go. And the intellectual mind of whoever's receiving it doesn't understand it. But if they can sit there and sit with it and just feel it, they can feel that too. And people can go into quite a deep trance state who are receiving, because it really does bring you into that stillness, that it holds you in this amazing space where instant healings can happen. And it's just for the receiver really to open and let go. But I haven't really found anybody who's not liked it. So I've trusted that when I put it out there, when I first put it out there on my public page, that it'll be loved, and it is loved. I've not had anyone being disrespectful or anything like that. So I trusted it would be received, and it has been. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, going back to, I suppose, being in the flow and allowing the flow and allowing that space for whatever wants to be expressed, that can be a scary place. Because I did a thing a couple of years ago where I did a 21-day share and shine video diary, where I literally would turn the camera on and just sit there and wait for whatever would come up. And something always did come up, but my intention was that there would be somebody watching who would benefit from it. So there would be something for somebody there, whatever that is. Whether I ever heard about it, didn't matter. I was just doing it. Doing it for myself, for my courage and going through the fear and stepping into my fear and all that. But I decided to do 21 days because science says that it takes 21 days to break a habit, and my habit was sabotaging myself. So I was kind of doing the reverse. I was like, well, if I do it for 21 days, I'll stop sabotaging myself every time I say I'm going to do something. And it also made me accountable. But yeah, going back to allowing the space. A couple of weeks ago, I literally, well, it might have been a week ago now, actually, it's quite not that long ago. I always get my aha moments or my directives when I wake up normally. It's probably because that's when my mind it's been working in the night, and you know, I've been having a little chat with my higher self probably, and then I wake up and it's like, oh, here I am. What's on the schedule today? And I had a directive literally just drop in, and I get it. It's me talking to myself. You know, I don't get a vision or anything. It's like, this is what's happening, and it was to I was being guided to open a space for other people who have perhaps been in the same situation as me, who haven't been able to come forward, who can't do the Facebook Live, or you know, they're conscious of their own voice, or they don't like the way they look, or, you know, bottom line is, you know, I don't value myself, or I don't love myself enough. And I wanted to create a space. And I cried. I just sat on my bed and I cried, and I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? I don't want to be a host. I don't want to be a leader. And it was like, okay. And so, of course, when I cry, I know it's something. It's hit that nerve, and I've got to do it. So that's when I put out the video to say that's what I was going to do, because I thought I've got a second or so to do it. Because if I don't, all these little thought loops are going to go, told you so, told you so. You can't do it, can you? You can't do it. And so I had to step forward, and that's the masculine going, okay, do it, and do it live. Then they know you're serious about it. You know you're serious about it, and then create it. So then I created a circle. I didn't know, I had no expectations as to what it would really look like. And I've only done one so far. And I was really nervous, and I thought 29 people or 30 people signed up, and then I had 13 actually get on. Some people couldn't actually get on because I didn't know how to do the tech properly. So 13 people showed up, which was perfect. It was a beautiful number. And again, I was going to press play or press live and then see what, I was going to do it the same as, you know. And the directive I got, because I kept thinking, do I do a meditation? Do I do a prayer? What do I do? How do I start it? Do I top and tail it? Do I have questions? You know, I've never run a Zoom call before. I don't know how they work. Well, I've been on some, but, you know. And the directive I got, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And I'm like, oh, no. So I have to just turn up. So I just turned up. And it went, I think it went really well. It was interesting. And now, after doing it and speaking to some of the people that were on the call, I've come to distill now what it is, what I'm creating. And so essentially I'm creating a space, a void, if you like, where we can all sit round and just allow from that space creation to come forward. And my light language came out of nowhere. It came out of the void of the universe. It came through. And so if that can come through in a magical way, so can allowing that space for grace or divinity to come through, a higher intelligence to come through with what needs to be expressed in that moment. And we can all sit around and we can sit in that space rather than having a subject filling the space to begin with. We actually allow, and then we'll see who wants to speak, who wants to share. They might want to share something they've written, they might want to share a problem, they might want to share an emotion, a voice, anything. And then we sit and we witness. And if there's an issue, if there's a problem, if somebody's going through, you know, an emotional issue, we allow them the space to find the answer rather than rescuing rather than directing, giving advice. If they want advice, they can have advice. But I think we all know the answers ourselves. We all have the answers inside. We just need that space to be able to find it, to search for it and let go of that block. And so, yeah, this is quite interesting because it's an element of surrender and trust, another level of surrender and trust that I'm going through. And then, of course, if we're all equal, I'm not on my own, am I? And I'm not hosting it really, because it's a group dynamic. And through doing various workshops in the past or attending workshops, I've felt such healing in a group before. And it's magnified, isn't it? You know, and feeling and seeing other people. So this is my passion at the moment. This is kind of, yeah, came out of nowhere. But as it came out of nowhere, of course it came out of nowhere because the space was there for it to be created. So I'm just allowing it to divinely flow with no expectation as to where it will go. And I think that's all I can do at the minute.
I love what you say there. There's so much of that. First of all, thank you for your 21-day thing, because I was trying to think last night, what was it that you did? Because that was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. And you doing that inspired me to do my 21-day light language.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for that, because that inspired me. And that was a big turning point. And I love what you say about the group dynamic as well, because we can feel that there's pressure on us if we're like hosting the call to find answers for people, to be the person that steps in to respond when someone shared something, especially if it's something big. We can feel the responsibility of that. But I love what you say about it being the group dynamic, because it may be someone else that actually is even a better person at that particular moment in time. You know, they may have experienced something similar or whatever. So I love what you say about that group dynamic, where it's everybody supporting everybody.
Yeah.
And you're the one that's organizing it. You're the one that's arranging the Zoom room.
Yeah.
And it's a real round table. That's, you know, that's where we're moving to. I think I love all that you say. That it sounds amazing.
I've got tingles all the way down everywhere. Thank you for that. Because there's always an element of doubt. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway. The directive is there, and every day another bit clicks in, because I'm stepping forward into it. Yeah. I just thought, I'm just showing up, you know. The minute you take that step, the path, it appears. Something drops in. The person appears.
And there's no agenda with that either. You're doing this because you've been guided to do it, not because you know you want something out of it, or because you know what it's about. And I think that's a lot of what we're doing as well. When I did the live earlier about the throat chakra, I had a few ideas of what I wanted to say, but not really so much. And that's, in some ways, is more of a challenge. I like to have notes. My memory is like, I'm just writing notes for what to say at the end now, because I'm like, I must remember to say that, I must remember to say that. But some of this is about not having the notes. It's about just free flowing.
Yes.
And then you're more open to actually the higher self coming through and the higher wisdom coming through. That isn't Denise led, or it isn't Jen led. It's universal. It's so much so much stronger.
I think absolutely that how do we know what someone out there needs to hear, you know? And if we've got a crib sheet or whatever you call them, we're limiting the information that comes through. And also we're in our head.
Yeah.
We're not actually free flowing. And people know if you're reading or you're, you know, and so it's okay for teaching a module, but if, you know, this is a heart-led conversation, this is two real people who, you know, we've experienced similar things, so we can identify with each other, and I'm sure your audience are too. They've all been drawn to this live or future live, for some reason. You know, there's no mistake, there's no accident that people are here listening. And it might just be for one sentence they need to hear, and then they'll get an aha moment, or not, or they might be triggered and they might get angry about something. And that's good too, because that's going to change something, you know. I love triggers. I love working on triggers. You know, I don't get that many these days. I miss them.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, when you do? It's like, especially when you can witness, like you can feel the trigger and act within the trigger, but also be the witness at the same time, going, triggered.
So, I thought you dealt with that. Hello, who's that tapping on my shoulder? You know, because I mean, and again, you know, having these, having, like as you say, you know, a round table with people all coming together. If I was to have a question, or if I was to lead with a question, or if I was to lead with a subject, it would still work in a way. But there's a lot of Zoom calls already do that sort of thing, and it does limit what comes through. It's still good in as much as we often talk about the same things, but we've all got a different flavor in our delivery. We've all got a different experience around that subject. So everything is valuable. So I'm not saying that's not a valuable thing to do, because very much it is. Some people might be teaching, you know, or might have a wonderful way around a certain healing modality, but you just can't bear the sound of their voice. And yet you hear it from somebody else and it's like, oh, you can receive it from them, you know. It's, yeah, it's yeah, it's lovely. I just love all this unfolding, and I love the way that new ways of doing things, you know. I mean, we're just sat at home having a chat, and yet there's people all over the world listening in. And I as much as I find, you know, sitting here, I'm talking to you, I can feel your heart, and we are connected. On some other calls, perhaps, you know, there is that heart-brain disconnect when my brain knows that you're in there somewhere, but you're not physically in front of me, you know, and that you can feel that what's going on. You know, I'd love to go and give you a hug, and you know, so there's that sort of confusion going on. But what we get to experience with Zoom calls and things, they're live, but they're always live. They're always live information. So if you're listening to a healing modality or some light language, you listen to it live, it's amazing, you're getting the results. If you listen to it again 5 minutes later, if you listen to it next year, it's still live. It's still live energy, and it's still working. And like, I think you've touched on this earlier, that every time you listen, you'll get something different.
Yeah, beautiful. I'd love for us, if you wanted to do some light language, but I'd also like, while we're still on this, because I might forget after the light language, how can people get hold of you for this, or for anything else? Or are you kind of up to the numbers that you want? Have you still got space for people?
Well, I've created a private group where we can continue on the conversations. But if this is of interest to anybody out there, then I would welcome you to message me, and I'll invite you into the group. Because you won't find it otherwise, because it is private. But yeah, message me privately, and I'll invite you into the group. And then the sessions it's called Share and Shine Sunday sessions. So they're every Sunday. And depending on the interest, I may start one at 11, do another one at 3, and then another one at 7, just to cater. At the moment, they're 7 o'clock in the evening, London time. You can contact me on my page, Jen Dodson, or at star-sister.com. And if you want to email me, it's shine@star-sister.com. And that's my website.
Will you put those on the comments?
Yes, I will. I'll put them in the comments.
Wonderful.
There we go.
How would you feel about sharing some light language?
Yeah, why not?
Shall we set an intention, or just see what comes through?
I think the intention would be that, for me personally, the one that I'm passionate about would be, so my intention, this goes out to all those beautiful souls who are finding it difficult to find their voice right now and difficult being seen. So yeah, for opening the heart, knowing that you are loved. Would you like me just to go into it?
Yeah, and just to say, I had the same kind of feeling for the intention. So.
Yeah, lovely. And yeah, just so that we know that we are loved and we are of value and we are value and we have a divine presence and that we're all one. You are me and I am you. So I feel you. And I always touch my heart or my heart space, just to bring your attention to your heart and just to allow the sound, allow the frequency, whatever comes through, just to be absorbed, just to flow through you. And enjoy. This is from my heart to yours. And you can open your eyes or close your eyes. I just find when I close my eyes, it brings me in. It brings my focus into my body. E sono como kaietia la hiena to kosuhicha makoe. Alto como koietina kaietia mahiala so na makoetia ichlo makohatia makiene ano hoita. Tola sono kohea. Au no koenate. Tuelema tuemakiashia. Au shunu kohai. Okolo koetia ma. Emolama kaiti. Suena tikiecha, chualana kiana tuete leha te mokaha, omono sumu kietia, au nukohe, o kokokaya shiana, chia tia la mohoeta, o sumukoha shukoha kiate, krokito sumo oha au nohiate, tia maka, ishalamakoha. Au shulur koyetia makahayete. Issalamahia. 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 Shau tokumokoyete. Tuelamasiete. 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 Shoo. Shoo. Shoo.
Kile hranai dorun papapata akitnia. Kile kiaran dorale kian nekiast aran ukule kia. Mapaparan di hian tol kia. Me kile kiera orunukule paran tuntille pakaa. Pelle kiideat utille pakalle pe tunulla pakan. Halkille kierunukule päätetulle pakaa. Kelle kieran ust adelle pakit an tulle pakaa. Kelle kieran otun nukist aranakaa. Pelle kiate ja läkrunukututaka. Kille pekille kierrulle pakille kiille päätetututun. Kille kierana kulle pakitutututata. Kelle kierana katakasta kille pakitutututata. Okille kiana tatain okot an ikist. Olle kirle päärä tulla pakulle pakulle pakaa. Kille pekia. Tykkille pakitututata. Kilekiet ut on nistadla baka. Nikilehian dorle berle kidle beto durle bakta. Kulle be dadle bakotush da. Yat an dot oya. Really lovely sharing space with you, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
That was beautiful, Denise. Thank you so much. Look at this smile.
And thank you everybody who's been joining us, and I could feel there were plenty of other people coding with us there too. Thank you everybody. And if this resonates with you, please share it along. We're always grateful when things are shared and into groups that we may not be members of, so it just gets the message further afield. And thank you for contributions as well. If anyone wishes to contribute, send your love, share the post, and I will also put my PayPal in the comments if any of you want to gift any contributions that way. And I'm going to be doing on Wednesday, I've got something, I'm in the middle of doing a ticket tailor for it, but I'm going to be doing a bit of a sound journey, a bit of a light language journey. And I was going to do solar plexus for this one, but the call is definitely throat and heart, throat, and, you know, expression of love. So if that interests anybody, I will be sharing that probably either today or tomorrow. And if people want to get hold of you for sessions as well, same way of getting hold of you that way.
Yeah, lovely.
All right, thank you everybody who's been with us, and especially thank you to you, Jen. It's been a really, really awesome chat.
It's been lovely. Thank you.
I'm going to stop the live stream. Thank you everyone. See you soon.